All right, welcome to the Ames Chamber of Commerce Business Builder. Today it's being brought to you virtually by PC Matic and First National Bank. So thank you to our sponsors for supporting this series. Usually these are in person, so today we're starting with something new, doing these remotely, and I think this is a sign of the times that we'll be doing more and more of these. Today's topic is very timely. It's called Working from Home, Cybersecurity Best Practices for Remote Workers. And our guest speaker today is Corey Munson from PC Matic. Hi, Corey.
Hey, Andrea.
Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. So I figure we can just jump right into some questions. We have a series of questions we're going to ask you. Some of the hot topics right now related to working from home, cybersecurity in particular, as well as some follow-up questions about just in general working from home. So many of us are working from home right now through COVID-19, and we're new to this, and we're not sure what to do or how to stay on a schedule. And you've been doing this for a long time, and so we really appreciate your expertise and sharing with our members today.
Sure.
So the first question we have is, what should I be doing to guard against cyber threats when working from home?
Get comfortable here because this is a long list, right? I would say number one is if you're working for a company that has some sort of IT department or lead IT person, or maybe even an IT consultant that's taking care of the company, is defer to whatever the heck they're saying, right? More than likely, they've got some sort of protocol in place for sending you as an employee home to work. Follow their lead, follow their guidance, and stick to exactly what they're saying. If in doubt, contact them. I think the rest of the bullets we'll cover here are what can we do to supplement that? What can you do at home to protect yourself? Whether it's plugging in your own personal computer to do that work or plugging in your work computer at home. So to kind of roll through this list, number one is make sure you have some sort of security software installed. If it's antivirus software, that's the preference. There are many different types of antivirus software. We have a preference for the one we develop and we promote as PC Matic, but there's other good ones. Make sure that's installed and make sure that's updated so you're at least give yourself a fighting chance. The next thing is figure out how to update your Wi-Fi network password. I heard it presented last night on a call as think about how many times you have shared your home Wi-Fi password with your kids or your neighbors coming to visit, or your kids' friends have your Wi-Fi password. One, figure out what that Wi-Fi password is. If you no longer remember it, is just this saved as default. Figure out what brand your router is if you installed your own router, and figure out how to update that password. Make it a little bit longer, preferably something like 21 characters. Make it a passphrase. Make it something easy for you to remember, but something that's complex enough that it's not easy to guess. If for some reason your internet service provider did your home network, contact them. Let them know you're going to be working from home for an extended period and you want some help updating that. That's really important. The other thing is keep your computer updated. And this is especially important if you decide, hey, I'm going to use my own personal computer for this. Is somewhere between 50 and 60% of the software that's on your computer is outdated in some way. And when they update software like that, it's usually because it has some sort of security hole. So if you can at least make a point of making sure all that software is updated, again, you give yourself a fighting chance. If you happen to be out of the house, and I'm not sure where you would go to access public Wi-Fi these days, but avoid that at all costs, especially if you're plugging in your work computer or you're doing work from home. Public Wi-Fi is just not a good idea right now. And then finally, stay vigilant. We'll talk a little bit later about email and some of the COVID-19 stuff that's going around out there that's actually delivering malware. It's even more important now that we're super sensitive to what we're clicking on and the emails that are coming through that maybe look a little suspicious, because unfortunately, these cyber criminals aren't taking any time off. They're using what's happening now and targeting people that are working from home specifically. So that's where I would start. But number one is if you have an IT lead at work, follow their guide, follow their protocol, and then do some things that you can just to shore things up at home.
I think that, you know, that's a great idea about, we at work, we change our passwords all the time, but it didn't even really occur to me to change our Wi-Fi network password at home. And both my husband and I are working from home right now. So that's a really helpful tip. So thank you.
Do it. And you know what? It's usually pretty simple. But if you think about all the things you've got connected at home right now, it could be some sort of Amazon device, it could be a Google Home, could be any number of phones, could be PlayStations, any gaming consoles. There's a lot connected there. I'm not going to promise you it's always going to be clean when you update that password. You may have to go in and refresh some of that, but it's important that it's not just whatever the default was when you pulled it out of the box and plugged it in. So
yeah, thank you. So another great question is it okay to work on your child's computer?
I would say it is if you have no other choice.
Okay.
If I think about most computers I have come across that kids have been working with, they're usually full of just junk that kids have been clicking on, unfortunately, apps they've been loading, games they've been playing. It's probably not a good idea, but if you have to, I would say the very first thing you should do is make an effort to clean it up. Go out and get some sort of antivirus software, some sort of security software. Some is free, some is relatively cheap. Install it, run the scanning cleans, and try to clean it up as much as possible. Because unfortunately, those are the systems that are probably the least likely to have been maintained well and probably create the biggest threat in terms of anything you're going to be logging in from home on. So, and the other side of that is, and this maybe goes without saying, but if you're bringing your work computer home, don't do personal stuff on it. I mean, really, the sites you visit, the things you log into, things you attempt to download on it, if you can, if it is all possible, segment your use for work and personal based on each device. Don't overlap if you don't have to.
Great tips. Thank you. Sorry here. That skipped on me. So let's go back. If I'm working from a home computer and receive notice that I have a virus, what should I do?
The first thing I would do is try to document what you see on your screen. And maybe it's as simple as grabbing your phone and taking some screenshots of what's actually happening. Try not to click around a bunch once you see some sort of warning or alert come up. It could be one of two things. One, there are a lot of pieces of malware out there that are simply fake viruses. They're just trying to scare you into calling some sort of 1-800 number and get into some sort of support scam where they try to sell you something you don't need. So it may not be a big issue. But if it is, and it's legitimate, the first thing you should do is try to document it and then call your IT team. It's probably not ideal to email them at that point if you've got some sort of serious infection and you're trying to hand off a file that's infected. Get them on the phone and talk to them about it and tell them exactly what you're seeing. Text them the screenshots of what you're seeing on your computer screen and kind of suspend operations until you get some further guidance from IT folks. Unfortunately, one of the things that we are seeing more and more are these ransomware cases that we know have been infecting companies and basically will lock up all your data unless you pay money. A lot of this stuff we think is going to migrate home now because everybody's working from home and they're going to start targeting employees that are working from home. It's important to react to it right away and get some guidance on it.
And I know you did a presentation with us, another business builder, last year on cybersecurity. And at that point, it was about being in the office, really, and about protecting your own business and your own team. So, it's fascinating how, and you've mentioned this before to me, about how quickly these people adapt and just how many school districts and cities and other large organizations are being overtaken by cyber threats right now and just really being held hostage.
It's absolutely true. These guys are all about money and they're going to look for the easiest way to make money and the easiest targets and the people that are the most vulnerable. Those are the people at home right now. And we can talk about the phishing campaigns and things like that that are targeted at people working from home. But ultimately, they're trying to make money, and they're going to where the people are most susceptible to those things.
Oh, it looks like that slide was out of, there was my slide that I was missing. Okay, so is it safe to be clicking on all of these COVID-19 emails and websites that we're receiving right now?
I would say be extra, extra cautious. I would be inclined to not click on just about any of the emails that you might receive these days, unless you know for sure where it came from. What's happening is most of the malware out there these days, about 90+% of it, is delivered through some sort of phishing campaign where they're going to send you an email and bank on the fact that you're going to click on that. You click on it, and then it begins the process of delivering whatever type of virus to your computer. So if you consider that that's how it's being delivered, all they're simply doing now is looking for even more compelling content to deliver to your inbox to make you click. Well, if you consider where everybody's heads are at these days and what they're worried about with their families and the COVID-19 issues, if you see something in your inbox about COVID-19, maybe even it's designed to look like it comes from the state, or maybe it's designed to look like it comes directly from the CDC. These guys are good enough that they can disguise those things and make you believe that it's coming from one source when in reality it's not. And if you're clicking on that, you're just starting that chain reaction of delivering that virus to your computer. So I would recommend, if you can, go directly to the websites. Make sure you type those URLs in directly into your browser. Go there and get your information versus clicking around on any type of email you're getting these days. And to that end, I listed 3 different sites here that are really good resources for training yourself how to recognize good from bad emails. One is know4.com, which is a company that does and specializes in cybersecurity awareness training, but they have at least 10 different free tools that you can use to train yourself, train your family, train your workforce about how to look for red flags in those emails. StaySafeOnline.org is a nonprofit that does some similar things targeted at small and medium-sized businesses. And then SANS.org, again, is another nonprofit. All 3 of them great sites for learning about what to look for and how to decide whether an email may or may not be legitimate. The other thing, and I didn't list it as a bullet, which I would suggest everybody be on the lookout for, is any type of email from a coworker or an executive or your CEO or your boss asking you to wire money or asking you to send money, right? Yeah. Again, this has been a big issue where people are not following up and trying to understand whether these requests to wire money or transfer money are legitimate. They're actually doing it, and companies are losing significant amounts of money. So if in doubt, pick up the phone and call somebody and see if they actually need you to wire $50,000 overseas in 5 minutes, right? That's the other thing to keep an eye on now. They're going to prey on the fact that we're all susceptible and vulnerable right now. So
the ones that get me are when it's a coworker and it's asking me to do something, and then they sign off with regards. Like, my coworkers would never say regards, so you know immediately that it's not real.
Perfect red flag. You usually know how your coworkers address you. Yeah.
Okay, so that's kind of the highlights of our cybersecurity questions at the top here. Kind of moving in now into our next phase of questions. But anybody who's watching, go into the chat box if you have questions for us, and we'll address them as we can. So Corey, how long have you been working from home?
Over 15 years now. So the irony is our company, PC Matic, has been around for 20 years, and we've never had a headquarters. All 50+ employees work out of their homes, and as being a part of the company for the last 15 years, that's been me. This is nothing new to us, so we're kind of full steam ahead, but we're definitely in a good position to help others. And we've been spending a lot of time, not only because we specialize in cybersecurity and helping out with those concerns, but a lot of people have been turning to us as a company that's been doing exactly what everybody else is being forced to do right now. and we've been able to share some tips there. So.
Well, and I know I appreciate it. I know I've turned to you a few times over the past couple of weeks as well for just random questions we've had, because our staff is now working from home and it's all new to us. So I appreciate you sharing some insights with all of us today.
Sure.
Any special tips for staying productive while we're working from home?
I guess a lot of what I'm going to share is probably the same stuff you've heard if you've read most of the articles that are out there, because everybody's publishing their tips, right? Is number one, get up and shower. Actually treat it like it's any other day going to work. And I've had to adapt to that over 15 years. I was guilty of maybe the first 5 years of not necessarily doing that. So definitely get up and get showered. Get dressed. I read an article right before I logged on with you that Walmart is now reporting that there's an uptick in the number of shirts and tops that are being ordered, but a downtick in the number and orders for pants. So get fully dressed is what I would suggest. Commit to the whole thing, shoes, pants, and all. So get dressed, get ready to work, and be serious about it. Dedicate space for work, especially if you have children at home. And I coped with this for 10 plus years with my kids being home. If they see you sitting at the dining room table working, it's easy to say, well, mom's not working, she can help me do this, or she can take me to do X, Y, Z. So if you can, dedicate some space where you can get away. This is a big one, is setting a schedule and knowing when to stop. I have a tendency to get up super early and start doing things early and roll right on through. I'm not always good at knowing when to shut it off, because knowing that you've got your work right there that you can always go plug into and check emails, and we're all subject to that with our emails on our phones and all, but I think you really have to commit to limiting your hours. One of the things our CEO is pretty mindful of is just this fact, and he really encourages us to put a cap on the number of hours we're going to work per week. Doesn't necessarily specify when or what days or what time of day, but we really want to resist the urge to burn out just because we're home and we can work whenever we want to work. So that's a big one. The other thing we really emphasize here is pick up the phone and talk, for a couple of reasons. One, it's super easy to get disconnected from your coworkers if you're at home. So that element of being able to socialize, I think, is super important. But it's also tough sometimes if you just settle for emails back and forth. It's much easier to pick up a phone and communicate like you would if they were sitting in the desk next to you or in the office next to you, and you could walk over and peek your head in the door. So I think picking up the phone is important. And then finally, that social component. One of the things we've done as a company, and unfortunately we just had to cancel a meeting as a result of this, is we will usually fly all of our employees into one central location, and we'll meet twice a year as a company. We do some work, but about 75% of what we do is socialize and go out to eat and have fun together, because that's definitely something you start to miss when you're working from home. So that's a huge part of it. I've even seen now that companies are doing virtual happy hours where everybody will grab a drink and log on through video. I think all those ideas are good, because it's really easy to get stuck in your basement office with one small window and lose track of the 10 employees that you're used to going to lunch with every day. So.
Yeah, and I think at this point, we were all forced into this. So this is new. It was, we didn't really have time to prepare for it. So, yep, I'm in my kitchen, but that's just the way it is for me right now. But definitely, as our team is working through this, I know, like on Monday morning, we usually have a staff huddle in our lobby. It's like a 5-minute standing meeting. And we didn't have that this week. We had a different kind of meeting, but we put that back on the schedule. So next Monday, we're going to have our staff meeting over Zoom, and we're gonna have everybody pop on just so we can see each other's faces and have that social time. It'll be it's a great touch point to kick off the week visually as well.
I think it's been fascinating, the whole use of video, because we're no strangers as a virtual company to online meetings. But just in the last 2 weeks, the number of meetings that I've been a part of that now involve video, where before people would not click on that add your camera, to those virtual meetings unless you absolutely force them to. And now people are doing it, which is, I think it's healthy and it's good and it's kind of therapeutic too, to actually see somebody else's face. So I think this is a sign of things to come. One, I think this is going to be a big transition from a society perspective that, well, maybe we can be more and more productive working from home. And what does that mean for the workforce in general? But more tools, being able to do video, it becomes a lot more practical to think a workforce could be at home more often. So.
I'm on a board for a nonprofit here in town, and we had a board meeting on Wednesday morning, and we did it virtually. And it was fascinating because about half of the people logged in with video and the other half were on the phone. And as the video participant, I just wanted to say to everybody, please pick up and put, do the video. It was so important to be able to connect with each other. Because I used to be that person who would only do the phone and not do the video. And now,
yeah,
look, 2 weeks in, now I'm like, I love this. And it's just such a great way to be able to see people. And, when you're all on the phone, you're talking over each other because you can't see the cues. So I'm definitely a convert for doing video meetings.
Yeah.
All right. What are favorite tools or apps that PC Matic uses to manage your work from home staff, which is all your staff, basically?
Yeah, we have a few favorites, but I'll confess, I think on a department by department basis, we kind of have our own favorites. Okay. Zoom is caught on. We've been a big GoToMeeting company. We've used GoToWebinar. It has been great as a marketing tool for us, and it's increasingly important now that everyone is doing webinars every day, every hour, it seems like, right? So GoToMeeting's been good. Slack has been a real good inter-office communication tool, and we even use that between departments, and that even becomes a bit of a social thing as well. There's an app that I just heard about this morning that I think has some real promise. I think it is only for Apple products, but it's called Serene. And this is an app that allows you to go in and log the websites and the applications that you want to block yourself from using for an extended period of time. So you can go in and set a goal that I want to have 4 hours where I just concentrate on one work project, and I need to make sure that I can't log into Twitter, I can't check my messages, I don't want email notifications, and I can't get to Facebook. And it will lock you out of those applications for that period of time and then let you back in when that time expires. I think it's pretty novel. In checking out their website, it looks like it's kind of in beta, but you can get an invite to test it out. And I've seen other applications like that are designed to limit your access to things that tend to preoccupy us. But I think that's good, especially at home, especially with this need to constantly check the news right now.
Yeah.
I think it's all right to isolate yourself from that a little bit. And then the other tool, and this is a plug internally, as we're depending more and more on our ability to plug in at home, is check out what your internet speed is doing. We, as a company, PCMatic.com/speed test, we host a speed test for your internet speed. You just simply click on a button, it will tell you what your download speed is and what your upload speed is. What we have found over time, and we've hosted this for years, probably better part of 20 years, is we have a pretty good sense that most people aren't getting the internet speed they pay for, or what their internet service provider has promised. So this is a good way to measure, hey, what am I supposed to be getting and what's actually coming through? I think if you were to call an internet service provider these days and complain about it, they're probably going to say, well, it's because every one of your neighbors is on at the same exact time. But they also might be willing to bump you up to the next tier or give you the premium package, maybe for a little bit more speed. But that's something definitely worth checking out right now because everybody is so dependent on it. And we're even starting to see hiccups in some of the video calls and things like that we've participated in because there's such a load right now on the network.
Yeah, that's a really helpful tip. Thank you.
Yeah.
So at this point, if there's any questions from anybody watching live, go ahead and add them to the chat box. Otherwise, we're gonna probably wrap up here quickly, but Corey, any other thoughts or tips you'd like to share with our audience today?
Yeah, a couple of things. One of the things we announced last week, kind of in response to what's going on in this whole mass migration to remote workforce, is we've basically decided to make all of our professional products available for free to the general public. And this is both for people that are plugging in at home, small and medium-sized businesses that are trying to support their work from home employees now, or even, we've been dealing with some schools to some degree, and some of our network of partners that are actually servicing these customers. So if you have a need for security software, or maybe you haven't updated your security software since you last bought your laptop at Best Buy, and whatever was loaded on it is still there, and the expired notice comes up every time you turn on your computer, get in touch with us and we can get you a copy of ours. What we're doing is making it available at no cost through the end of June. You can either email me directly at Corey@PCMatic.com and I can help out. Or if you go to PCMatic.com/COVID-19, it allows you to register, short form, plug in your information, and then my team would get back in touch with you to get you licensed. And then we've even have a full team of people that'll help you get set up and supported. The other thing I wanted to put a plug in for are just because we deal with a huge network of managed service providers and IT consultants that are out there using our software to help companies that are in this mad scramble right now. One of them happens to be a local company called Bent's Consulting. And I know Jeremy there's been doing a ton of good work for local Ames businesses and helping them with this transition. I'd encourage everyone, and there are a lot of good ones in Ames. I'm just giving a shout out to one that we happen to work with more than another. But get in touch with those folks if you need advice or insight about how to manage your employees at home, or what software you should be using to do that. Or if you've got concerns about potential viruses and things like that, and you don't already have a go-to IT person. There are a lot of good people in the Ames community that are doing that work. And just like the medical workers and the first responders, these folks are on the front lines right now helping all of us make this transition over to working from home. So I encourage everyone to work with those people when they can.
Well, thank you, Corey. And thank you for sharing that resource, because I know so many businesses, and small businesses in particular, but many businesses are struggling right now with just not sure how to handle all this. So I really appreciate you sharing your expertise with us today, but also this resource, the free resource you're providing through the end of June to everybody. So I encourage everybody to check it out, go online, or go ahead and email Corey for more information. And I think that actually concludes it for today. But so anybody who wants more information, give us a call at the Ames Chamber. We still have a skeleton crew there at 515-232-2310, or visit us online at ameschamber.com so you don't miss any of our upcoming Business Builder events. Again, this series is sponsored by PC Matic and First National Bank, and we appreciate your support in making this type of programming available and free to all of our members. So thank you again so much, Corey.
Happy to help. Thanks for having us, Andrea.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Goodbye.